Okay, let's go into our courses online and go to working paper 8-1. And we're going to do the work together. So go to part 1, chapter 8. Under the end of lesson review, let's go to working papers 8-1 and work together 8-1. Okay, so on this problem, you can see there are two tabs. We're going to journalize closing entries and we're going to post the closing entries. Up at the top, you'll see that you have your floating worksheet, and then it says the instructions, the completed worksheet, and the chart of accounts of Fix It Now for the month of ended April 30th of the current year are given. On page 8 of the journal, provide journalized closing entries. Remember now, this is the end of the fiscal period. We've done the adjusting entries, and now we're going to do the closing entries. Again, we are recording in our journal, but there is no source document because this is just a procedure you do at the end of the fiscal period. So we've got our adjusting entries on the first 4 lines of the, or I should say 5 lines of the journal. Now we're going to center the words closing entries and prepare our 4 closing entries. Okay, so remember, our first closing entry is an entry to close income statement accounts with credit balances. So when we look up here, I'm going to pin mine so I get it automatically saved there. We're going to look at our income statement column here. So we're going to scroll down and we are going to close income statement accounts with credit balances. You can see that we have one with a credit balance and it is sales. Okay, so it has a credit balance. So in order to create a zero balance, we have to debit sales. Okay, so we're going to go down to our closing entry. The date is the 30th. And again, we're on line 7, so we don't have to write the month. Okay, we said we are going to debit sales because that will close out sales. So we're going to write sales. And we will debit for $2,160. We are going to transfer it into our summary account. Remember, income summary is used to summarize our revenue and our expense closures before we place it in our capital account. So the account that we're going to put this money in is income summary. Since we debited sales, again, we are transferring the money directly into income summary. We will credit it for $2,160. So that takes care of our first closing entries. Remember, we have 4 of them. Our second one is an entry to close income statement accounts with debit balances. Again, we go up to our worksheet. Here's our income statement. We're going to scroll down and you will see that we have all of these with debit balances. To create zero balances in all of them, they all have to be credited. When we record our entry in our journal, we always write the debit entry first, the credit second. And so we have a list of all of these accounts, all of these expenses that need to be credited, and the total amount is going to be put into our income summary. So if we're going to credit the expense, we have to debit the income summary. So on the 30th, the title is, or the account title is income summary. And some people get confused with 2 of them next to each other. Remember, this is one transaction, one closing entry, and now we're on the second one. Income summary, the total of our expenses. If you look here, here's all your expenses, and there's your total is right there. So it is $1,483 is going to be debited by transferring all that money from our expenses into our income summary. Then we are going to list our expenses and we will credit each one. So I'll let you do that. And again, it's real important that you use the numbers from your income statement because they are different from your trial balance because we've had the adjustments. And our last one is okay, so we've recorded the second closing entry. Our third closing entry then, it says an entry to record net income or net loss and to close the income summary. So we're going to transfer the net income, which we have right here. We have a net income this month, and we're going to transfer it into our capital account. So the date is the 30th. Since we have a net income, our capital is going to increase. And I'm just going to go to the second line. Our capital account is going to increase because, and to increase capital, you have to credit it. So it's Connor, Whitney, capital. Okay. It's a net income, so we're going to increase it by $677. The account that we're taking that $677 out is income summary. Because remember, with our first two transactions in our closing entries, we put our revenue and our expenses into our income summary. And now we're taking the amount out of our income summary and putting it into our capital. And the amount is $677. It is the amount of our net income. Our fourth entry is an entry to close the owner's drawing account. So on the 30th, if you look at your drawing account right here, you can see it is a debit of $1,700. In order to close out your drawing account, you have to credit it for $1,700. So it's and the account that it's going to be put in is our capital account. Drawing makes capital go down. To make capital go down, you have to debit it. So Connor, Whitney, capital is going to be decreased by the amount of the drawing, which is $1,700. Our Connor, Whitney drawing account is going to be credited for $1,700 to close it out and to create a zero balance. And those should be your four closing entries. Closing out your revenue into your income summary, closing out your expense into your income summary, putting your net income or loss into your capital, and the fourth one is putting your drawing into your capital account. All right. We're ready to move on to the next part, the next step. It tells you to post the closing entries. The general ledger accounts do not show all the details for the period. The balance shown in each account is the balance after adjusting entries are posted. Okay, so again, just a quick reminder on posting. You'll open up your sales account. The first step is to put in the date, which is April 30th. Post reference, it is page 8 of your journal. Sales, you are debiting for $2,160. And your balance is 0. You go back and you place the account number in your post reference, and it is account number 410. And I believe you know how to do the rest of the posting, so you can go through and you can finish posting all of those.